What if your child's immune system isn't broken? It's just stuck in a constant state of stress. It's overreacting, fighting when it should be healing, recovering, and protecting. If your child has been dealing with chronic inflammation, autoimmune challenges, gut issues, constant infections, or symptoms that seem to come and go without clear answers, you've likely been given a plan that sounds pretty familiar. To just manage it, manage the symptoms, manage the triggers, manage the flare-ups. At first, that can feel reassuring, like, hey, there's a path forward here. But over time, it becomes exhausting because no matter how much you manage, something keeps coming back. Whether it's medication that suppresses the immune response, or layers of supplements, diet changes, and protocols that are all meant to support the body, most approaches are still focused on controlling what's happening on the surface. But very few people stop and ask the question that actually gets to the root of it all. So why is your child's immune system unable to regulate itself in the first place? Now, a healthy immune system isn't meant to stay in overdrive. It's designed to respond, adapt, and then return to calm. A healthy immune system knows when to activate and fight, and then when to rest and recover. So if that's not happening, well, then we know that something deeper is interfering with that process. And this is where the conversation begins to shift. The immune system, it does not work in isolation. It's constantly being directed and regulated by the nervous system. And more specifically, by one of the most important nerves in the entire body. Cranial nerve number 10, one of my favorites, the vagus nerve. So if you've done all the things and still feel like you're missing a piece of the puzzle, this is where we're going to start connecting the dots for you. And once you look at it through that lens, a pattern is going to start to appear, one that we see all the time at E320 Chiropractic. So it rarely starts with something big. It begins with a little colic, maybe some reflux, then an ear infection here or there, and then one round of antibiotic, then another, and another. As they grow, new challenges start to show up. Allergies, eczema, maybe asthma, digestive issues that never really fully resolve. And then one day, a diagnosis, juvenile arthritis, PANS, PANDAS, an autoimmune condition that feels like it just came out of nowhere, even though deep down you know that it didn't. From there, families are pulled into a whole new world, more specialists, more testing, and then the medications, all aimed at suppressing inflammation and controlling symptoms. But at every stage, the approach stays the same, to just manage it. And eventually, parents start asking the questions no one seems to have clear answers to. Well, what are the long-term effects of all of this? And why does my child's immune system keep overreacting? Because while you may be told it's genetic or that there's no clear cause, what we're seeing and what research continues to support tells a completely different story. Kids who experience repeated stressors early in life, especially frequent infections and multiple rounds of antibiotics, are far more likely to develop chronic immune challenges later on. Allergies, asthma, gut dysfunction, autoimmune conditions. But even that isn't the full picture because we have to go one step deeper. Not just asking what triggered the symptoms, but why your child's system was struggling to handle those stressors in the first place. Why did the infections keep happening? Why did the immune system stay stuck in overdrive instead of resolving and recovering? For so many families, the answer traces back to something often missed entirely. And that's a nervous system that lost its ability to regulate long before the symptoms became obvious. So let's talk about the vagus nerve, because this is where everything is going to start to make sense and to connect for you. So most parents have heard of the fight or flight response. That gas pedal that ramps the body up into stress mode. But what almost no one really talks about is the other side of the nervous system. That's the brake pedal. And that brake pedal is the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is one of the most important nerves in your child's body. It connects the brain to the heart, to the lungs, to the gut, and the immune system. It drives the parasympathetic nervous system. This portion of the nervous system is responsible for rest, for digestion, for healing, and for regulation. So when the parasympathetic portion of the nervous system is working well, it's going to help the body to slow down, to recover, and to stay balanced. It coordinates everything from heart rate and breathing to digestion, emotional regulation, and our immune responses. But when it's not working very well, that coordination starts to break down. The body loses its ability to shift out of stress mode, and systems that are meant to work together, they actually start to work against each other, including the immune system. So your child's immune system isn't operating on its own. It's being directed constantly by the nervous system, and a major part of that direction comes through the vagus nerve. Now, researchers have shown that the brain communicates with the immune system through this pathway. So it's sending signals that tell it when to calm down. Now, when inflammation rises, the vagus nerve sends the information to the brain. And then the brain sends a signal back down, releasing chemical messengers that tell the immune system to, hey, you can go ahead and stop that inflammation. Your child's body has a built-in off switch, but if the vagus nerve isn't functioning properly, well, that signal doesn't go through the way it's supposed to. And when that happens, the off switch stays quiet, and inflammation that should have resolved begins to linger and starts to build. So now the question becomes, well, why would the vagus nerve stop working the way it's supposed to? And this is where we go back even earlier. So for many kids, this doesn't start with when the symptoms show up. It starts during key developmental windows, when the nervous system is still forming and learning how to regulate. So we call this the perfect storm. It begins during pregnancy, when stress on mom's body influences how the baby's nervous system develops before birth. It can continue during birth, especially if there are interventions which places physical stress and strain on the brainstem and the upper neck, which is exactly where the vagus nerve originates. And then it can build in early childhood through repeated stressors, frequent illness, antibiotics, environmental toxins, sensory overload. Over time, this can overwhelm a child's nervous system and push it into a pattern of dysregulation. Early on, it doesn't always look serious. It looks like digestive issues, maybe some trouble sleeping, excessive crying, frequent infections. But as time goes on, that same pattern can evolve into something much bigger, with symptoms that get labeled separately, even though they're all connected underneath. Now, many families are already doing incredible things to support their child's health. They're focusing on diet, on supplements, on sleep, reducing toxins, building healthy routines. And all of that matters, and we love all of those things. But this is where many families get stuck. If there is interference within the nervous system, especially in areas like the brainstem and the upper neck, where that vagus nerve is most vulnerable, those strategies can only take you so far, because they're supporting a system that isn't fully able to regulate. It's kind of like trying to renovate a house with a cracked foundation. You can do all the improvements, but until the foundation is addressed, the structure keeps shifting. And that's why we hear it so often. We've tried everything. It helped a little, but something still isn't right. So instead of continuing to chase the symptoms or support systems individually, we have to go upstream and ask a different question. What is happening within the nervous system? Research is beginning to show that when the nervous system is addressed, things like stress hormones, brain adaptability, and inflammatory markers begin to change. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Now, neurologically focused chiropractic care, it's designed to locate and correct areas of interference within the neurospinal system. So those interferences, we call them subluxation, especially in regions that directly impact vagus nerve function. When that interference is reduced, the vagus nerve can begin to function the way it was designed to. And when that happens, the body just doesn't start to feel better, it starts to regulate again. And now the final piece is understanding how we actually find this. Because nervous system dysfunction doesn't show up on standard lab work, that's where our insight scans come in. Now these scans allow us to see how your child's nervous system is functioning in real time. We can measure stress patterns, areas of tension, and how well the body is adapting. We often see patterns of stress and imbalance, especially in the upper neck and the brainstem region. We see tension that shouldn't be there and a nervous system that is stuck in survival mode. And when we begin to address that, when we restore communication through the vagus nerve, that's when things start to change. We are not just managing the symptoms, but we are addressing the nervous system itself. Because when the nervous system is able to regulate again, then the immune system can finally do what it's designed to do. Respond appropriately, calm down when it's supposed to, heal, adapt, and protect your child the way it was always meant to. So if your child is living with chronic inflammation, autoimmune challenges, or a pattern of immune struggles that just keep evolving, and you feel like you've been stuck managing symptoms without real answers, this may be the missing piece. Because your child's body isn't broken, it's being managed by a dysregulated nervous system. The body knows how to heal when interference is removed. And the vagus nerve knows how to regulate inflammation and restore balance when it's able to fully do its job. So if you're ready to stop chasing symptoms and start understanding what's really going on underneath it all, this is the next step in the process. We would love to walk you through this with you. And you can click the link in our bio, you can send us a message, or you can call our office to schedule your child's insight scans and initial visit. Because the path forward doesn't start with another label or another symptom to manage. It starts with restoring the foundation and helping your child's nervous system to do what it was designed to do.